Morning everyone, I hope you are well. Thought we'd try slightly different setup this morning so that I can show you some different movements. We are going to use a prop, which is why I've got you set up in a slightly different position today. I'm going to use this grey box here to raise myself up for quite a few of the movements, just so that we can have some variety in how we wake the body up on a morning. So without further ado, let's give this a go. For the vast majority of this video, I will disappear off the screen, so you'll probably lose my head and my shoulders, but the main thing is that you can see what my lower body is doing and the parts of the body that we're stretching at any one time. So we'll see how this goes. Like I say, I might be missing, but you'll be able to hear what I'm saying, and hopefully by seeing what's actually going on, you can make sense of what's expected in terms of the movement. Okay, so to start off with, we're going to raise a foot on our box, our prop in front. This might be a chair, it might be a sofa, it might be a stool, anything you've got handy. We're going to raise this foot up. The back leg I'm going to keep fairly straight, and I'm going to allow myself to come up onto my toe, and I'm going to come forwards through the hips and just gently open out this hip flexor muscle here. Now if you want to intensify that at all, you can add an arm swing. So you can swing the opposite arm as you come forwards, and it just helps open out that hip. And also we're getting the shoulder moving now as well. Now once we've done 5 or 6 of those, we can then add a different movement into there. So using the arm again, we can now lean across as we come forwards, just to open out in a slightly different plane of motion. And again, we can do 5 or 6 of those. And then to finish off with, we can send the arm across the body to create a rotational movement. So rather than a lean, we're allowing the torso to twist on this one. And again, 5 or 6 of those. And then we're going to change over. So I'll show you those 3 again. I'm going to raise the other leg. I'm going to go with a straight arm first. I'll do 5 of those. From there, I'm going to lean across for 5. And then to finish off with, I'm going to rotate across the body for 5. This one at the end will definitely test your balance, especially on a morning. So don't worry if you're a bit wobbly on that one. Another thing to watch for is as you step forwards onto your step, what a lot of people do is, if you imagine this is my feet, when they step forwards, they sort of step forwards and inwards, and it creates a very narrow. You can see how close my hands are now. Although they're apart, they're very narrow, the tightrope feet. You want to make sure them feet are still fairly wide, so we've got the base of support. So keep your feet wide when you step forwards, and it'll give you that support. Next movement is for the glutes and the hips. Hands on your box. We're going to bring the knee across at the front. So you take the other leg out of the way. So the other leg's gone, it's out of the way. And here I sit nice and tall. We can sit here in this static position for a few minutes. We can bring our hands up against the wall and sit nice and tall. This will allow you to feel it a little bit more in the hip flexor as well. What I like to do is get moving. So while we're stretched, shift the hips across. You've seen me do this before on the floor. We're just doing it in a slightly different angle to hit the muscle group slightly differently. Once we've done a few where we go across the body, we can go forwards and backwards. And then what we're going to do today is we're going to walk the hands around. So we're going to walk the hands all the way around one way, and then all the way around the other way. And then I'm going to change these over and repeat on the other side. So I can do a little static hold here. I can take my hands up here if I want to intensify that. And then I can get the hips moving across. I can then go forwards and backwards. And then I can take my hands for a walk all the way around one way and all the way around the other way. And you can take a little bit more time on this if you want to. You could walk the hands across a few times. You could hold that position for a little bit longer. I just want to get through a few of these movements and show you them as best we can. Next movement, we're going to give the lower body a little break. We're going to go for the upper body, and then we'll come back to the lower body. Again, you won't be able to see me very well on this one. I'm going to be in a kneeling position on the ground. So I'm going to have my knees on the ground here. I'm going to place my hands and my wrists on the box, and then I'm going to walk my knees as far back as I can. So I'm going to walk these back so that my head and my chest can come down nice and low, and I'm stretching out through my upper back. Okay, so I've got nice straight arms. I'm going to keep my head and my chest down, and then in this position here, I can just gently move my body weight from side to side and get the backs of those shoulders opened up, get everything stretched out through the shoulder joint. On this one, if you wanted to intensify this stretch a little bit, you could do one arm at a time. So you could do the one arm and drop down and play around with that one side. You just use the other hand on the floor to support you. And again, you could repeat that on the other side. So it might be that you start by doing both like I just did, and then you try one arm at a time just to intensify that. And then I'm going to finish off by doing both again and just moving across a little bit more now that that joint's warmed up a little bit. There we go, nice simple one for the upper body, stretching out a lot of things in one go. From there, we're going to come back to your feet just to do something on the lower body again, now that that's had a little break. This time, rather than facing my step, I'm going to turn side on and I'm going to place my foot to the side, okay? I'm going to slide off the view of the camera so that you can see my foot. All I'm going to do is keep my foot flat. I'm going to push my hips backwards and then forwards, keeping the leg straight. So I'm sticking my bum back and then forwards. My other leg is just flat on the floor, so my foot's flat on the floor, acting as my support. And I'm feeling this up the back and the inside of the leg. Now what I'm going to do is change that foot position onto the heel and repeat again. Now this one's definitely more up the back of the leg. You might also feel this a little bit into the calf because you've got the toe pointed. And we're still just shifting the hips forwards and backwards. I'm now going to turn around. Same thing again, foot flat to start with, push the hips backwards and then forwards into that start position again. And then from there, go onto the heel. And get that one moving like so. Final one for this morning, more of a static stretch than anything. I'm going to get you to sit on your box, your chair, whatever you're using, and we're just going to open out around the glutes, around the hips. We're going to take an ankle across the knee. Many of you might sit in this position from time to time if you sat at home or sat at your desk. All we're going to do from here is we're going to immediately correct the posture. So we're going to get the posture nice and upright, gently roll the shoulders back, and we're going to apply a little bit of pressure against this knee and push down against it whilst looking straight ahead. We should feel this in a muscle called the piriformis. It sits round here, sort of the outside of the hip and the glutes. It's quite it's a common muscle in terms of exercise, but not one that we always get the chance to stretch very well. So we're going to apply some pressure down against that one. Sit nice and tall, looking straight ahead. Just going to hold there for a few seconds, and then I'm going to change that one over and repeat on the other side. You will notice one side tighter than the other. This is my tighter side here, so I'm struggling to push that leg as far, but I'm just working with it. I'm just easing into it. And what I would recommend is if you're not talking through the movement like I am, take some nice deep breaths in and out, and on the exhale, that's when you're trying to apply that pressure. That's when the muscles should relax a little bit more. And that is us for this morning. There you go. Few not too dissimilar movements to what we've done before, but just by positioning the body slightly differently, you will feel them in slightly different places. And for some of you, you might find these variations easier to do than the ones on the floor or standing, or vice versa. You might find the other stuff easier. So I'm just trying to give you a few different options depending on what you've got available to you and based on where you are at any given time. So hope you enjoyed those. If you need any help, please reach out, leave a comment below, and I will catch you again very soon. Take care.